Anything for you.
The recording is on.
Good.
I'm in the weeds.
Thank you for joining us for the East Aurora Village Board meeting for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I get attendance, please?
Trustee Lizikis.
Here.
Trustee Cameron. Here. Trustee Vijay. Trustee Flynn.
Here.
Trustee Raby. Trustee Shear.
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
5 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the village board meeting for January 6, 2025?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the payment of the January 21st, 2025 abstract for the 24-25 fiscal year for a total of $113,988.42?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. All right, this is our first speakers and communications. You'll have a second opportunity near the end of the meeting. Anybody who has something they'd like to talk about, please raise your hand. When recognized, come on up, introduce yourself into the microphone, please. We record all the meetings, and tell us what your issue is. Anybody? Sir, come on up. You're like, what? I don't know. My hand wasn't up.
Hi, my name's Tim Noon. I'm a member of the Village Tree Board.
Hi, Tim.
Former forester for over 10 years. I'm also a resident right here on East Oakwood. Just wanted to comment tonight about the work that we're doing with you guys to try to minimize impacts from the O'Connell Electric GoNet Speed tree work. The tree board put a lot of effort into drafting a letter that I think offers a lot of really good pathways forward to be collaborative and to be proactive in the approach with O'Connell. We'd like to urge you as the board to consider that. I think we have the opportunity to tweak that letter to best suit our purposes, but it really does offer, I think, a clear, proactive pathway with O'Connell to minimize impacts to the village trees. Second, I just wanted to mention, as a member of the tree board, we've done some coordination with other tree boards across New York State who have had similar interactions with O'Connell and GoNet Speed in particular. And Canandaigua Tree Board in particular has had success with being proactive and getting O'Connell and getting GoNet Speed to alter their approach with how they're working with trees in the city of Canandaigua. Specifically, the city was able to identify an area of high priority where GoNet Speed actually did tunnel cables as opposed to raise them. So I offer that as an example of through proactive coordination, the village has the ability to influence what happens here. We saw this elsewhere.
So you talked to the Canandaigua Tree Board.
That's right.
They're the ones who told you that GoNet Speed put it underground in a certain area that they identified as high priority trees. The tree board identified it,
Tree board, and I believe the city of Canandaigua has the city forester, and they were involved.
and NICE paid for it, or GoNet Speed paid for it? The municipality didn't pay for it, right?
Similar GoNet Speed project. I'm not sure who
Okay.
took the bill, but it
All
was
right.
a similar sort of pole hiking.
That's great to hear somebody else, right,
Yep.
has a success versus us just doing it from scratch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that flexibility is out there. That's basically it. I just wanted to offer that. There's a lot of compassionate folks in the village, also in the tree board with experience in this realm. So we're looking to advocate and do whatever we can to help do the board.
I have a question. Oh, go
Oh, yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, were there any areas within our village limits that the tree board felt that would be appropriate? I mean, some of the discussion we had about the underground was it may do more harm to some of the trees that we're trying to save versus due to the fact that we have so many of them. And if that was to go underground, we were told that goes between the right-of-way or the sidewalk, something of that, right? Am I
Well,
correct
no,
on that?
that's, but yeah, it would be somewhere in the right of way, generally not under the road.
Okay, so to answer your question specifically, I don't think we as the tree board have identified certain blocks or anything to
Okay.
that extent. And we have recommended identifying, say, specimen trees, very large, very
Sure.
trees. Alternate approaches could be advocated for sure.
So were they able to convince O'Connell to go more lightly on the trees? I mean, were they not taken off the, how were they able to do that? Were they able to,
I think it was just through real close coordination, right? They had a city forester and a tree board that was closely engaged with them through the process. I think they had sort of recurring meetings, had some mechanism set up to talk about individual areas as they moved through their workload. So I think, maybe that's an option, have it, if there is a way to sort of to secure some sort of, gateway check-in through the process to sort of coordinate.
Jesse was asked in the first meeting with them of any historic trees or any certain trees, and the only one he looked was the one on South Grove. So I haven't heard of any others throughout the village in the right of way that have been referred to as that, so.
Yeah, we recommended maybe setting a diameter limit, because obviously larger trees, which there are many throughout the village that would be.
But a lot of the larger trees, like the ones at the corner of Linden and Sycamore, they were rotten on the inside, and they didn't know that until they started cutting them, and then found out they were dangerous.
Sure, some may be, not all of them.
Right, but you don't know until you start cutting.
Right. But yeah, there's usually signs that there's something wrong.
So I have a question for you, Tim. A few questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right. So in point number 1, you say we request that certain slow-growing tree species identified by an arborist be certified tree worker, be considered for reduced clearance standards. I feel like that's maybe the sweetest spot, right? Because it's not stopping their project, but it's just kind of changing. And that comes a lot from what Nancy first brought up. When they said, oh, it's 10, 10, 15,
Right.
and then she said on their site it said 8, 8, whatever, and then somewhere else it didn't say anything. So I actually reached out to Hochul's office, Kathy Hochul's office, to see if there's anything that they can do as far as changing that standard. Because, I mean, even 5, 5, 7.5 instead of 10, 10, 15 might be significant. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or, I mean, if they're coming in from the street side to do all their work, do they really need to go that far in on the other side, on the house side of the tree? But ANSI standards, what are those?
That is the, ANSI is the Society for Arboriculture.
yeah.
But do they have actual tree trimming standards?
I believe that they do.
They do, it just doesn't give any measurement.
It doesn't,
Right.
okay,
It does not say 10, 10, 10.
okay.
It just doesn't.
All right. I'm just wondering if that's an opportunity to kind of massage the way they're doing it. I talked to some of the actual guys with the chainsaws, nice guys, just doing their jobs. And I said, you guys have like a ruler or anything? And they're like, nah, we just kind of, they said 10 feet, so we're just kind of eyeballing it, you know? So maybe there's a better way
Eyeball
to
a
do
little
it.
less.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Eyeball-
close one eye, will
But
you?
that's the thing, is maybe if we come in and say, hey, listen, how about 5, 5, 7.5, and we work back and forth with them and they agree to that, then we can kind of hold them to something a little more forgiving. Number 2, well, so you don't have any specific reduced clearance standards you recommend. You're just hoping it's less than 10, 10, 15, correct?
Yeah, I believe so, and I believe that came from one of our arborists who helped to draft that.
Sure, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Jesse
Come on up.
was primary author of that as well.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Jesse Griffiths, Chair of the Tree Board. It's Griffis. I noticed the minutes that my name spelled incorrectly last time. So, sorry, what was the question?
2.
Number 2?
Number
No,
1, the
one
reduced
still.
clearance standards, you mentioned in 1 and 2. Do you have anything specific?
agenda.
Like if we're gonna fight for this more, you know what I mean?
Green center.
I'm like, is there a certain number I should be aiming for, or should I just go in and say anything less than 10, 10, 15 is gonna be appreciated?
Well, I think that's the case. I think it's almost a tree by tree basis. It's not, the trouble with trees is that they grow kind of
You read it
random,
on your
right?
field.
Yep.
We don't know exactly.
Yeah, what?
Different species, different
Ah, see,
speeds.
Mine's
yeah.
not coming, he didn't say.
Different angles.
No, I read it, but I just didn't.
No, no,
I
but if
didn't
you
get
want
the
to look while we're
points.
talking.
Oh, you got it.
No, it's
We
fine.
just wanted to make sure that trees that are slow, in number 1, trees that are slow growing aren't going to be a problem for years to come. And so,
Why hack them up?
why have
Right.
10, 15,
Right, if they're really coming every 5 years.
if they're really going to be done for even 10 years?
Yeah.
These slow growing trees aren't, once they're mature, they're not going to grow quickly. And they grow in flowers.
Okay, well, I like number 1, and I feel like that's something we can definitely bring to them and fight for. Number 2, specimen tree protection. You say a diameter breast height DBH greater than 24 inches designated as a specimen tree.
This is our approach, I can interrupt you, but this is our approach to kind of deal with the question of trying to get a list of trees together. that-
Right. Right, which I asked
We don't
for,
have any- Yeah.
if you could do it,
We would
yeah.
ask for it. So we can do it, it's just difficult to say how old, can we say something is historic or not? Finding that sort of record is really difficult in the village. We figured 24 inches, 2-foot diameter, and it's pretty good around. They've obviously been around for a while, and we thought in that case, maybe that's just a fair, like I said, a fair way to say, hey, this is one that maybe we should take a second look at. Just
Right, see if there's a creative way to get
see if
around.
it's something great.
Okay, so my question is, can you guys give them a map of those in your staking sheet, or can you mark the trees? Like how is, or is are you just gonna count on NICEAG to put a measuring tape around it and go, oh, we gotta call Jesse because,
Yeah, we'll run around.
yeah. I'm always just looking at the process, you know?
Sure.
A lot of times,
Well, we-
good intentions get lost in
Oh,
the,
absolutely.
in the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we, negotiate the best way to do it. If they would request that we label them somehow, we'd certainly do that.
I'd like to know what they, because I think O'Connell's obviously working off some sort of contract they have with GoNetspeed, and they're just doing what they have to as per the contract. I'd like to know what if GoNetspeed, they've got to realize that this is a really, really bad public relations move for them to be doing this to the trees. I would never sign up with this company just simply because of what they've done to my village and will do to the town and other towns. I would like to see if GoNetspeed could come to the table and say, look, okay, we don't have to be as hard and we don't need to be as sticklers to the contract as we can maybe, cut as needed or cut it as just enough to do what we have to do with our fiber optics, because it's overkill. I mean, what they're doing. And this is a really, really awful, and I'd like to call GoNetspeed and say, look, you're not looking good here. This is not a good look for you.
But is it NICEAG telling them?
Yeah.
Or is it NICEAG
I don't know
telling?
that that's GoNetspeed
But
that
still,
is.
GoNetspeed doesn't want a black guy coming in as a new business.
'Cause they're the ones
start
whose
trying to
name-
get customers.
Not GoNetspeed's the banner that's been flying over this tree, in O'Connell, but O'Connell's just doing their job, and the guys working the chainsaws are just doing a job, but they're taking their orders from, I guess, NICEAG.
Well, I
But-
don't know. I mean, listen.
But it doesn't look good for them. It really does not look good for them.
That's why we're trying to come up with some creative
Right.
suggestions to try to.
Yeah, they got to lighten up on what they're doing. Instead of, they've taken all the branches all the way up and down, and then we're made to feel helpless to do anything about it because that's the Public Service Commission. It's, they decide, blah, 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 so.
I would like to see that. I'd like to see what guidance they've given to around. Say, hey, we need you guys to do X, Y, and Z.
Or is it them and someone else, like
Well,
Molly
we
said, is it NICEAG
We put
actually doing it?
Saying you can do it, but you got to do this.
Because GoNetspeed is a vendor of NICEAG. So NICEAG's making a capital investment to change so they can increase their revenue. And they're probably giving direction to O'Connell because it's their polls.
You mentioned in the last sentence, point to the law, where it's talking about the ANSI standards. More than one arborist has said that GoNetspeed says they're doing kind of directional pruning, but they're not really. So, yeah, I'd like to.
You said directional pruning?
Yeah, it's a.
Can you
sort of
define
the way
that?
They do, the way that they perform pruning cuts on the trees. It sounds like they're not doing what could be done.
And how, I'm ignorant to what that means, the directional
I'm not-
pruning.
I'm-
So you
I'm
mean
not-
taking it back to a limb type of thing, or a
Yeah,
crotch?
but I think they're going too far. I think they're going too far down.
I got you.
Okay. So there's, just as one anecdotal example, on East Main, right near where that chestnut was removed. Now that chestnut went like this, and the side near the wires was the live side, right? I thought Jeff had it all figured out, right? And the side on the right that they were saying they'd save because it was out of limits was all dead and hollow. So that was kind of like a lose-lose. I mean, but right next to it is a pine tree and they just cut every branch right up against the trunk, all the way down, top to bottom. So
Yeah.
it looks like a Dr. Seuss tree now. It's like all the branches are on the right side and nothing's on the left side. It's crazy looking. And I'm like, is that really? That, I feel like that's somebody just hustling through getting their job done. So number 4, severe canopy removal mitigation. You say any tree requiring more than 40% canopy removal before they start pruning. Talk with a certified arborist first for removal. How would that timing work? So as they're working their way down the street, they get to this tree, they say, oh, we need to cut off more than 40%. Then what? Do they provide the arborist? Do we provide the arborist? Do you guys provide an arborist?
TBD, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going, like, they drive up to the tree and then decide at that moment what they're.
You don't?
No, I believe that Stan, over there, I think that's the last name. Anyway, O'Connell's arborist is going out, and they're making these determinations ahead of time. And then the guys come through like the next day, they'll get a list of the sheet.
Okay.
Description. So I know that there's a certain period of time.
Lag time, yeah.
Cuts. There was one that was removed on Sycamore on the east side, just past, just north of Prospect. Stan called me, we looked at it, and it was 2 or 3 days before they got to it. Actually, so I believe there's time.
So you're saying we have Stan reach out to the village, right?
I would suggest Jeff.
To Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we already have that with him, right? Where before he cuts a tree down, he'll talk to you first.
Yeah.
So is he using the 40% canopy removal as a rubric currently?
It was 50%.
It was 50%, but we've seen what some of the 50% look like, and it's just ridiculous, like you said.
Yeah, but once you start breaking
So-
down, that's gonna be difficult to judge. 40%, 50%, 30%, and
And so, I think, that's why
Significant.
we added the severely diminished aesthetics piece to that. That, you know, if the percentage is here or there.
Can become a little
Right.
subjective,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
complain if it's
Right.
100% either way. But I think if it's close, we're suggesting, let's make sure that we get it.
Yeah, err on the side of caution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before they
Okay.
commence the cuts that are gonna.
So they're doing something like this now, we just want to tighten it up a little.
Yeah.
Okay. 5, the list of invasive species, would Stan identify those? Would you guys just,
We can.
paint an orange dot on the ones you want them to get rid of?
They can easily, yeah.
I think those are largely the ones that you guys provided us before, right? When we put those
Yeah.
species on the, we're not
canary
planting them
pear or
anymore.
whatever, yeah.
Calorie, yeah.
The one that we're gonna find in the village.
Yeah.
Norway maple,
This was also sent to the, well, we didn't.
I think they've taken those.
because that's state, yeah, it's an invasive in the list. Yeah, yeah,
That if we took all of Norway maple down, geez, we might as well be a brand new subdivision.
yeah.
Further.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we didn't include Norway maple on that list that's here on this document.
So the tree board's going to go around, identify them?
Anybody could identify, any arborist could identify the calorie pair. We can't provide them with this if they want.
Yeah, they're at the bottom of the
You
line.
know they're around in the spring when they,
Yeah, no, I see.
the odors, the
But
odors.
I'm saying,
Horrible.
again, to the process, who's going
I
to
see.
do it? You know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
Yeah,
If we call NYSEG and O'Connell and they're like, yeah, we'll cut down all the calorie pairs.
Yeah, right.
You know, and then do we go out and spray paint it orange and say this one, but you're checking with the property owner to make sure they want it gone.
Well, we'd like to, we'd suggested, eventually removing all of them anyway, because they're not going to get gone.
Yeah.
We were thinking in this case, maybe a way to get a jump on that front.
But you recommend getting the homeowner's consent first.
I'm sure.
I think we better.
That's one thing. Yeah,
I think that'd be mandatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a good thing to add in there. Who knows, maybe somebody loves their calorie pear. All right, but we can mark case-by-case review, request to submit specific trees to the NYSEG forester, contracting hours consideration, reduce trimming standards. Yeah. The tree replacement, we can't, ask them to give us stuff we can gratefully accept. I mean, Correct me if I'm wrong,
We
as far
can
as the
accept
legality of it.
offer, but
We-
we cannot request or ask.
So,
We,
my question is, where did NICEAG get the idea to give us 30 trees?
They
I
just
spoke to
offered
the arborist months ago.
We
I think
did
we
not ask.
complained.
Goodness up there.
To
I think it's
Proctor.
No, this is-
complained and they were trying to
Je-
appease us, is my
Right.
guess.
Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong, haven't they done that in the past years?
I haven't received any trees from NICEAG.
Because when this,
Just saying yes.
when this, yeah, when this,
Last 2 years, I've received free trees.
like 15 trees a year, something like,
Maybe like 5 to 10.
okay. So that's what the arborist told me when I investigated. When this first hit the fan, I made a call to NICEAG and got a hold of their arborist. I think at the same time when you guys first met with him, right, that first week. And he said, Steve, I love trees, we actually donate to the town. Because I had mentioned what we had talked about, possibly the trees that are totally devastated for our residents, possibly the village would step in and replace those trees for them. Out of the right of way, in their yard probably, not under the wires.
Sure.
So, and I had mentioned that to him, and he says, we actually donate to East Aurora and have done it in the past, so.
So-
I don't think it's an out-of-the-blue thing.
No, so if the
but
public asks NICEAG to donate trees versus the village officially
Yeah,
doing it,
if-
we will gratefully accept that.
Somewhere else.
Yeah. How do you define utility compatible tree?
That's, the ones that are short underliers.
Slow growing.
So
Yeah.
very,
Yep, got it. And
Bushes. We call those bushes.
a self-imposed moratorium on trimming any oak trees within the village from April to October to reduce the risk of oak wilt, a deadly fungal disease. Does that,
it's just cutting, we're exposing the guts of the tree here. And they are at a much increased risk of.
they're more vulnerable right now when they're dormant? Yeah.
And when they're dormant, in the wintertime, late fall, it's much safer for those trees.
Okay, so if they do it now, you want them to treat it with that
Well,
ISA
if they do it.
non-phototoxic
now-
sealer?
Yeah, if they do it now, it's okay, because by the time spring rolls around, there's no.
Sap.
Nothing's
Yeah.
moving, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But this is just to protect the oak trees specifically over the summer from being cut. And if they have to do something in the summer, then there are treatments that can be applied to those cut, the rains.
Right.
To prevent that fungus.
It's just like a sealer, sort of, so to speak, like a Band-Aid over it so nothing gets in and,
So that's it. I mean, Jeff, the village pays for an arborist to inoculate our ash trees, right?
The town does that for us.
Oh, the town takes care of that?
Yeah.
Every 3 years or so?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we pay, so would we find the arborist to do? Actually, just to clarify, so if they cut them down, when is this project gonna end? Is it May?
February, March, something like that.
Yeah.
By the lines being installed, I've seen that they're gonna be offering the service to people sometime in February.
All right, so, yeah, I think they're gonna start
they said at the
offering it
town
out,
board.
but they're not gonna be done with the whole
Sure.
project. So, assuming they're not gonna be pruning trees in June, it sounds like, so do we need to do this or not? Do I need to ask?
We have to check with Bob first. I don't know if you can set a law around the right of way like that. I don't know if that's even possible. Because it's a public safety issue, and I don't know if you can hold NICEAG trimming trees around the power lines to a village law.
No, but it's
No,
just a
no, we're just
request. It's a
requesting.
self-imposed.
It's a request
We're
for,
just
Yeah.
gonna have somebody show up and slop some sealer on
so
the
you
wounds,
put the
right?
sealer, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so we say, NICEAG, please don't do this. If you do this, we need to know.
Yeah, we're gonna ask them nicely to not.
It's them to seal it, and if they won't do it, then we'll
Right.
figure it out.
Which we do need, 'cause who knows when NICEAG's going to come through and do their,
Right, but if they,
Happy.
I guess my question is, if they trim the oaks in the next 2 months, do we need to do this at all, or is it a summer thing?
I would include it just because we're asking NICEAG to
Okay,
do that, and because NICEAG is supposed to come through next year for you.
more.
More hack and chop, huh?
All right, good. I mean, I'm not adverse to trying to get some of these, and actually, some of these are pretty reasonable.
yep.
Some of them are a little higher maintenance where they have to figure out which tree is which, but if we can help with that in any way to make it as easy for them to do it, right?
Do we have, Jesse, when the Girl Scouts went around looking at trees, did they get anything about size or?
Map.
Okay.
As far growing.
Okay,
Listed species.
okay. That's what I thought, but I couldn't quite remember. I felt like they did a lot, so.
Actually, a lot of water.
Review, to go through what we could do in that.
Okay. All right, so we sent it on to our attorney who couldn't be here because of the weather. He's going to review it, and then
That's fine.
Shane,
Where's the-
whatever we tease out of this,
If we need any other, suggestions, changes.
we'll call you with questions. Call Tim. Call Tim. and all.
Thank you for your, thank you and the tree board for your efforts.
Yeah.
This.
I looked at it, I read it over, I thought, holy cow, that was a lot of work.
When it first showed up, I thought it was like this manifesto, and then I read it, I'm like, that's reasonable, that's doable, that'll be tough, this is possible, you know?
You know,
No, it's good.
As a teacher, well, readable, really, clear,
Well,
concise. My teacher, I'm gonna get out my
A
red
pleasure
pen.
to have in class.
Pleasure to have in class. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jesse.
Thank you.
Tim.
Can I just make one further note?
Sure, sure.
I'd
Yeah.
like to just have everybody spare a thought for the guys on Strikersville Road today, the tanker that rolled over after the barn fire down Strikersville. Or down at,
Jeez.
starting here road today.
Unaware.
It's not easy being a volunteer firefighter, especially in these conditions. So,
All right.
spare a thought for that.
Thoughts for them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, Tim. All right, still, speakers and communications. This is the first one. You'll get another one at the end of the meeting. Anybody else want to speak on any topic? Sir? And miss?
Will Gavin, Pine Street, 117.
Joanne Ryan, Porterville Road.
We just have had some concerns about the safety of our street. As we're redoing it in the spring, I believe, we're hoping that it's this time, that the speed, which is now wrong to begin with, is gonna, and traffic will be increased as soon as the road gets done. Ms. Ryan came up with the idea of a stop sign at the corner of Pine and Porterville. Two-way stop, leaving the village and coming in. Slow people down coming in, which is a major concern. And to slow people down leaving the village. And we thought that maybe we could get your support. I know it's a county road, and we'd have to get them to agree to it, but we were maybe hoping that once the road is done, it would be needed to be done for another 30 years. Maybe the village might consider taking it over the 4/10 of a mile that gets to Porterville. I know it's a cost, I know it's would increase the tax whatever amount, but I think it would give the crews that are down on the Pine Street extension, it would be our road. We could do whatever we wanted to then, and appeal to the state for maybe a speed bump along the way. That's just something, that's a dream, because of safety, not only for us old timers, but for the changing neighborhood with all the young kids that have that. It's a dangerous road, even now, people say, oh, how do you speed on that road? Well, there's a lot of people that do, a lot of commercial vehicles that use it. It's increased, even though you guys were real good a couple of years ago and sent out letters to some of the trucking firms and said to them, try to avoid the road. We didn't notice a decrease at that time. But we see a lot of trucks now that are unmarked, so we don't know who they are, but they got full loads, and they're barreling down from Main Street, and they're barreling in from Porterville, and it's dangerous. And I would just hate to see a kid with a lacrosse ball trying to chase it across the street end up compromised because of somebody who couldn't stop in time. We have a problem, and it's a safety concern.
The other concern is that there's no place to cross on Porterville and Pine Street. So if you live on Lawrence or East Fillmore, there's no crosswalks, there's no nothing. And trust me, I have called the police many times. I know Jeff probably has seen me 1,000 times, so has the chief. I'm out there all the time. We had rocks there because there were people constantly in our yard, constantly. And I removed the rocks because of the construction, following what, I was asked, but it's a very dangerous place to cross. And with kids, I mean, that area has changed drastically. We've lived there, my husband's lived there basically his whole life. It used to be all older people. It's a lot of young families now on Pine Street, but also on, like I said, on Warren and Lawrence. And these kids, I mean, you see them all the time. They're riding their bikes, they jet out. You know, we taught high school for many, many years. You tell kids, look both ways, kids don't. I mean, that's the thing. It's a very, very dangerous road. And the other concern is, like, I look at Center Street. There's stop signs all along Center Street. There's no stop signs in Porterville. And Porterville's beat up because of the amount of traffic. You know, that's a really heavy traffic that's, you know, utilized a lot.
And you'd think once the potholes are once the road is fixed.
Oh,
It's a drag
Gonna
strip.
be, yeah,
Yep.
It's a straight shot.
yeah.
and it's a straight shot, you're right, Ernie, it's a straight shot. I follow the trucks, they go all the way down, you know, they go down Porterville, they fly down, they go down Girdle to Broadway, there they go. I mean, and we asked for the, I know you guys asked for a traffic study, but this, I mean, I personally think it was unfair, the way the study was. It was not in the summertime. I mean, even the East Aurora Country Club, when we have the international tournament, there's a lot of traffic. The farmer's market, bales of hay, I mean, the farmers, I mean.
We're a busy village
We're a busy village, and we want to keep it busy,
and safe.
but we want it to be safe. And we're asking for a way to slow stuff down. And, you know, I've been in touch with Lindsay Larigo. I talked to her person that works in it. He agrees. He agrees. But the county, for some reason, I don't know why they don't want to stop sign.
Well, I like Mr. Gavin's idea about purchasing that section of Pine Street to the village line on Porterville. I think it's a great idea. And if we can get it for $1, and okay, we have to pay to maintain it forever. And that's a cost, but at least we have the control, because we have the county telling us what we're not allowed to do. Like put crosswalks in or we can ask, but we have less, you know, almost as much say as you do about it. Or the corner, straightening out the corner, putting a stop sign there or something to calm the traffic down. And it is a dangerous corner.
Just drive down Warren and like look at the pickleball courts. And I mean, this has become a busier area now than it was 10 years ago.
Sure.
And all those houses in that little development down there, it's full of kids.
Well-
And even Pine Street, like I look at Pine Street, we've got tons of kids now on our streets.
Yeah. So I've got a few thoughts.
Sure,
At Pine Street Extension, and Porterville,
yeah.
they came back, right, Shane, and they said there wasn't, that's what they do. They look at historical evidence of accidents and that kind of thing. And they're like, oh, we haven't seen accidents. I would think a stop sign at Fillmore and Pine makes more sense. Because that's the way they like it. It's a square intersection, right? And most people are coming from the areas, the streets you're talking about. My parents live right there on Warren. My dad's walking the dog there all the time. Right, they're going towards the village proper. So I feel like that it would provide a good crossing point. But what did they say about the Pine Street on the survey?
Just that it
request?
didn't meet the criteria for a three-way stop at that intersection.
Yeah.
Right.
And the study that was in December on a,
Yeah. I wouldn't be adverse to having them redo it.
well, I understand, but
Yeah.
we've been lucky.
But I mean,
Yeah.
the study needs to take place
Just
in
because there's no
July.
history.
Well, it's just not, it's not the same as, historically, it's not the same, because it is ramped up so much.
Oh, right,
Right, I
and
mean,
it's-
the
Well, they just look at
population
the
and
last
use.
3 or 5 years.
Right.
So it's not like they look back 20 years.
But I mean, I look at Center Street, and I drove up that street thousands of times to that high school. There's stop signs, stop signs, stop signs. I mean, what's the difference between Porterville with these big trucks? I mean, they come flying down. We talked to Jimmy Bach. They would, I mean, you ask these guys, they see it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They come flying around. And I'm going to tell you, they have been in our yard. And the other day, someone was on Fisher Price and called the police. Was there a report? Oh, no. I mean, you know, they want to get out of there, you know, move out. So So, I mean, you know, it's not,
I just thought, my people on Warren and East Fillmore, right? And the other street, it starts with.
Lawrence.
Lawrence, thank you. I'm drawing a blank. So all those folks would have that option, especially with how busy the rink has been getting in that area with the Blue White Baker and everything, right? So that would give them a crossing point. It'd be one more opportunity to slow traffic on that stretch of Pine. I don't know.
It's
Thought.
it's another, it's a great thought.
And you put a, you know,
Well, it's something we can do,
Yeah.
which
I
is,
mean, I hate to say it, but it's crazy.
And it's not gonna get better.
Right.
It's gonna get worse. And I mean, I look at the DPW guys coming down, like today, you know, they're coming down, they're busy, you know what I mean? And if there's somebody coming flying down, you know what I mean, it's addictive. They've had close calls. There you go. I mean, were we waiting for a kid to get killed, or, you know what I mean? It's-
well, the bicyclists that go through there, hit that curve. I can't believe when I was a kid, I would ride my bike down Porterville Road to go to a farm job I had. I wouldn't do it today. Just that, no shoulder, very tight. You know, and all the additional development out toward Marilla and out, you know, out in the
sure.
Alma area, that wasn't there before. Now you have all these people now, that's their route home.
Yeah.
You know, so you have, you know, on Girdle Road, for example, all the houses on what used to be cornfields, and that's all gone.
Right, so Shane, do you want to reach out to the county and tell them we're interested in a four-way stop at Fillmore if the rest of the board likes the idea, and see what they have to say as far as,
Is that too
Involved?
far away from that
I
issue?
was wondering about that.
I think it's kind of far away from that intersection, and also, it's really close to that downhill off of Main. To just
Well,
all of a
and
sudden now
then
you're
if you get
stopped.
any closer to the curve, the county didn't like it because it was too close to the curve. You know,
Like at Girard or
the
something.
complaint of the noise of the truck brakes, that's going to be more when there's a stop sign there, just so you
We
know.
don't care.
I brought it up to her, I said, they're
Yeah.
right in front of your house.
Yeah, I don't think the county, no matter what we say, is going to put a stop sign in front of your house.
Well,
Well, if it doesn't happen now,
We've already asked, and they said no.
so now the alternative, as far as we're concerned, is that once the road gets done, then we take it over.
And just be aware that if the village board does decide that, there may be additional costs in reconstructing that intersection to be able to put stop signs. So
Understood.
there,
We're just looking for a safe
Yeah.
solution.
I mean,
That's what we're looking for.
I mean, it's safety, and like, I was talking to Shane today about the taxes. We pay a lot of taxes for our schools, they're the best schools. You know, we don't mind paying a couple extra bucks if we're, keep it safe. I mean, this is a major, major road now. But years ago, 10 years ago, it wasn't like this. It's bad.
And I'm out in front yard a lot, and I try to slow people down, and I get a lot of birds sent my way. From guys driving trucks coming in, never the crew.
And we didn't know if we should meet with the safety committee, because, I mean, that would be something else just to, you know, to have, to even maybe the safety committee recommend to the council.
You're talking to him right now, right? I mean,
Well, we
2
don't-
out of the 3.
yeah.
If the board's good with it, I'll call the county and see if they'll at least look at putting a stop sign in at Fillmore.
It wouldn't be a bad idea.
Please do.
To
Yeah.
start with, and then.
We don't want the safety committee to look at that, or?
Fillmore, or maybe even, what about like
Do they need to?
like Lawrence?
That was too close to the curve to do that.
Lawrence would be,
The- we-
how about
we-
Warren? Warren would be right in the middle.
Yep, but there,
is that going to slow him
you,
down from,
It will slow them down because of the fact that, I mean, they'll be coming flying down around that curve.
that's what I'm saying, that corner is not going to get,
That corner's nasty.
it's not going to get resolved for
Yeah.
that.
That's what
But it
we-
would slow him down halfway, right?
Halfway.
but if it's for pedestrians, Warren doesn't go anywhere coming off of Warren for pedestrians. If you're going to put one in for pedestrians, it would make more sense to put it at a 4-way stop. My personal
Yeah.
experience, I mean, I don't know if the chief
I don't know if
or,
any of you live in the area, I know some of you don't.
Yeah.
We do, and we see it, nothing but an increase.
You were asking,
And
you were
we're
asking,
afraid of the road being redone and becoming a bigger speedway than it is.
Right.
Right.
you asked about the safety committee. If you have something that you want propose to the safety committee, you can type it up and send it, but we don't have people meet with the safety committee.
Well, so do you guys want to, as a board, talk to the trustees, do you want to send the four-way at Fillmore to the safety committee first?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, why don't we do that, have them look at it first?
Really change the rate. You put a sign, stop signs, at-
Yep.
that's a whole different intersection.
Right.
So-
Yeah, people come down the hill from Main Street and they have to stop. I think that's not a bad thing, that they gotta stop there.
And if we find that it still is like a speed from Fillmore, you know, out, all the way out, we'll be back.
So at what point does that speed change? It's, what is it, 40 or 45 on Porterville? And at the town line, it goes to 30?
And that's at our house.
That's right at
Well,
your house.
That's at the
Maybe,
beginning.
maybe we can request that speed
Back
limit
it
be
up.
lowered.
To Girdle.
To Girdle.
Well, that would have to come from the town.
That we would,
Well, we
well,
could
then
ask
we
the
could
town
request
for
the
it.
town do that.
Speed change outside of.
Well, I know, but
Sure.
Okay.
it would be the town, it would be the county, right?
Right, but the town board would have to.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
let's
that's
ask the town board to take a
we'll have the
look at
town
it.
board take a look at it. I guess you guys are going to another meeting. But I think, I would say that that's more than fair.
I was going to say.
Because-
I was going to say,
Uh,
All right. Like this for you guys.
But I mean,
Oh,
it's,
it's just-
Sorry.
you know.
I felt
if you-
special for a minute.
If you slowed it down to 30, then the police have the ability then to stop speeders because you now have residential all down that section of Porterville on both sides.
Generally, outside of the village, if the county reduces the speed limit, generally, the lowest they would go is 35, if they think
Still
40 is
better.
too fast. But again, they would do their own study, or the state would do a study to determine the proper speed for that area.
But to do a study in December.
Yeah.
On a.
Well, again, Joanne, they did a favor for us to do that
I know.
study. Generally, they wouldn't do a study at that time of year. A visual.
They wanted to do it before they started the construction.
Correct, before the
That's-
plans were.
that's fine.
Future.
But we don't want to base our decision on the December study either. We want
Yeah, for all time, yeah, agreed.
Right, but at this point, I think it's
That's
too
all.
late for the construction project.
I think the chief wants to.
You got, the more you guys said that, you took everything right out of my mouth. I was going to suggest that possibly I could talk to the town board about, lowering the speed limit in there since they've declined our request to examine a stop sign, but like Shane did say, rarely will they go below 35, but I suppose it's worth a shot. I can ask the town, since I represent both most often, to look into that. And if they lower that speed limit there, then maybe that'll help some of your concerns.
That'd be great, chief. I mean, we're
Yeah.
changing behavior, right? You're changing habits. And if we add a stop sign there and we figure out how to get a slower speed around the corner, then maybe it's not as desirable for people to come flying through and they choose a different route that's got wider roads.
And we have an officer in a car ticketing people because we all know those certain routes that we take to go to the throughway through, the little towns on 77,
Yeah.
Pembroke,
West.
and they're there. If you, that stretch of road becomes a known area where you might get ticketed because it's regularly watched.
They're welcome to park in your yard.
I have said that they're welcome.
And I'm not telling the police what to do. It's just an idea I threw out there because if it helps to get the situation under control.
I travel that a lot, you're right. I automatically slow down.
My wife,
Oh, yeah,
she's my Carolyn's in my ear. She says,
The
"Oh,
one Corfu
hey, you're going too
police
fast."
officer
Yeah.
has everybody trained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I travel that frequently, what he's referring to, and absolutely, I slow right down ahead of time, which normally I don't.
I go to that cemetery in Corfu sometimes, and you got to be careful because sometimes there's a car there, and I'm like,
That's
oh, okay, I
the
guess
spot.
I'm not turning in this entrance.
That's
You know,
the
the
spot.
other thing too is we don't.
Against the
I
wall.
know.
We
Your horn
are
goes.
Places to
dressed
go.
like the motorcycle, like, you know what I mean? Because they love, coming around
Sure.
that corner. You know what I mean? They-
I'm sure it's fun.
Yeah. Who wouldn't, right? But that's what they do.
All right. Well,
That's
thank you,
dangerous.
guys.
Thank you.
Hey, we're
We
just here
appreciate
for,
it.
Like I said, more for safety, but thank you.
We'll let you know how we do with the county and with the town.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thanks.
again.
Thank
Okay.
you. All right, anybody else? Public comment? Come on up.
Very quickly.
Hi.
I'm just asking to do an event here on March 10th. So if you have any questions for me, I will answer.
It's on the agenda.
Yep. It's on there. What number is it?
Smalley's room?
Yeah, I think so.
It is K.
K. Okay, yeah, when we get to K, all right, we'll be discussing it, and if we need any info from you, we'll give you a shout. Thank you. Okay, we're going to close first speakers and communications, move on to public hearing. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing to consider a special use permit application at 30 Walnut Street, applicants Michael and Serena Scaccia to operate a bed and breakfast on first floor of their dwelling where they live and operate from at 747.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is open. Does the applicant want to add anything? Very good. Anyone from the public want to speak on this application? All right. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:47?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ernie, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The public hearing is closed. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing at 7:47 to consider local law 1 of 2025 authorizing a property tax levy limit override?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. That is open. Maureen, quick, high level?
We do it every year. It's done before the taxes are done, so we don't know what we're doing with taxes yet. But it allows you to go over the tax levy limit if we need to. It also protects us if there are any calculation errors.
Thank you. Anyone from the public want to speak on this? Very good. Does the board have any questions for Maureen before I close it up? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:48?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. That public hearing is closed. Moving on to official considerations. Can I get a motion to approve a special use permit application at 30 Walnut Street? Michael and Serena Scaccia to operate a bed and breakfast on their first floor of their dwelling where they live and operate from.
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? Rich, any issues? You guys have done your due diligence and you're comfortable with their setup, okay? Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Congratulations. I get a motion to approve a local law allowing a property tax levy limit override.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? Roll call vote. Steve?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Ernie?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
Very good. I'm an aye. It passes. Mayor Peter Mercurio, I'm going to appoint Scott Jakubczyk to the position of DPW Streets Foreman to start on January 22nd, 2025. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Steve. Any discussion? Jeff? Anything you want to tell us?
Scott, he's been here since 2016 as our mechanic. He's had a lot of experience in managing large group of guys. His previous job, he's excited. He said, sweet 15.
Awesome.
So,
Very good. Thanks, Jeff. Anybody have questions for Jeff?
Nope.
All right. Roll call vote. Steve?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Ernie?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Congratulations to Scott. I, Mayor Peter Mercurio, appoint Police Officer Corey Speck to the position of Police Lieutenant to start on February 1st, 2025. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? Chief?
Yes, so when I became chief, I purposely waited a good 6 months and evaluated the department, as we are probably as young as we've ever been. It was unheard of years ago for somebody that didn't have a lot of experience to be staring down a lieutenancy. I don't know, Shane probably was at like year 15 by the time it came available or something like that. So after the 6 months passed and I got a chance to evaluate things, myself and the 3 current lieutenants held interviews. The 3 officers on the civil service list all interviewed, and Officer Speck has been the selection. He's excited to get started and be part of the leadership team, and we look forward to it.
How many years has he been with the force?
He has been with us about 5 years. He had prior experience with UB SUNY Police, and then prior to that, a few years with the Erie County Holding Center. So I think all in the criminal justice system, probably about 12 years.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Chief?
Nope.
All right. Can I get a roll call vote for that? Steve?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Ernie?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Congratulations to Lieutenant Specht. I get a motion to refer to the Planning Commission February 4, 2025, a special use permit for 166 South Grove by Lowell Sylvester on behalf of the Aurora Players. There are no exterior changes proposed for this project, but as the building is owned by the village, it needs to be approved by the village board.
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second.
Second?
Second by Ernie. Further discussion. Rich? Anything you can tell us?
So it's all interior work, they're replacing the seating in the auditorium theater area. So as it's noted before, there will be no exterior, it'll be all interior. They're reducing the amount of seats, so it shouldn't be much in regards to like implications.
Good. Nice.
Is this actually something we need to send to the planning commission then? Don't we have some discretion on if it's a minor project or something?
You can always choose to do that if it's a minor project.
Just because the planning commission doesn't usually look at the interior of any project.
How do the rest of you feel?
I mean, it looked fine to me, but I guess what triggered it to go to the planning commission then?
Is that our default?
That's our
unless-
default way
Unless
we do it.
we opt out of it, which was something we added, right, to our...
Yeah, we added that a couple years ago.
So, do they have like a timeline we need to be worried about? I mean,
I'm not aware of any duration where they're looking to get it taken care of. So to say that it would go to the planning board, would it be putting the project in harm's way of meeting something? I don't think that's the case.
yeah.
Well, we can send it to them, but I don't know what they're going to be looking for.
I'm easy with it either way. Whatever you guys think.
I mean, in one respect, like, why waste the time, their time on it? But then I also don't, if they want to look at it, I also don't want to begrudge them the
Sure.
opportunity to do that either, so.
Steve, Ernie?
I guess I'm indifferent.
I'm indifferent. I mean, I've been told their business,
Kristen against Molly.
I just feel
I'm
like
not
when I was
against
on the
anything, I
planning,
just
ring.
said both sides of the situation.
I don't know, I would like,
if I was on the planning commission and I saw this come up, I would go, why is this here?
well, that's what I'm thinking. It's, I mean, is it
You're on it.
needed? I mean, they've got enough to do. Planning commission's got enough on their
All
plate,
right.
Just at the
you know.
All right, so
I'm fine with it.
let's see, refer to the planning commission. So instead, do you want to change your motion to set the public hearing for this? It needs to be a public hearing for this?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
Or, I mean, if I'm outvoted, we can send it to the planning commission.
No,
You know.
I'm fine.
I think you made a
Hard
strong
over.
case.
Thank you.
Do you want to finish voting on that, or do you want to table that? Because you already got a first and second.
Instead of just changing the motion to,
You could amend the motion.
okay, why don't we vote? Moved by Molly, second by Ernie. We're voting on whether we want to send it to the planning commission or not. And if we don't, it sounds like we will likely just set the public hearing.
So am I
All right.
amending my,
No, we're going to vote on this.
okay,
It's a
All
yes or
right.
no, right?
So, right.
Yeah.
no,
So all those in favor of referring to the planning commission? Say aye.
no.
Okay. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nate?
Nay.
I'm a nay.
Nay.
All right. So that does not go through. Instead, would you like to make a motion to set a public hearing for
Tuesday, February 18th.
Tuesday, February 18th to consider this special use permit for 166 South Grove? Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll make,
Sure.
yeah, I'll second.
All right, moved by Molly, second by Kristen for the discussion for Tuesday, February 18 or 16, I can't read my writing.
February 18th.
18, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is set. Can I get a motion to refer to the Planning Commission February 4th, 2025, a site plan application for 123 Gray Street to install an emergency generator to service the Michaels Fire Pump, a dumpster enclosure for home goods, and construct an 825 square foot exterior patio within the existing concrete sidewalks on the north side of the outbuilding, AKA the Mighty Taco Building?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second?
Second by Ernie. Kristen, any reason we shouldn't do this?
I'm okay with this one.
Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. It's referred. I get a motion to refer to the Planning Commission February 4, 2025, an amended special use permit for Starbucks at the vacant space that adjoins Mighty Taco by James Boglioli of Benderson Development for a coffee house with 60 interior seating and a proposed outdoor patio for an additional 24 seats.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, that's referred. Can I get a motion to approve a Hamlin Park temporary use permit, Megan Tent applicant, Town of Aurora for Action Club Kickball, various dates?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen, further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve temporary use permit for Megan Tent, Town of Aurora for the July 3rd celebration?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Molly, further discussion. A wonderful event. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Megan Tent, Town of Aurora for the town summer camp sports and theater programs.
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second.
Second.
Second by Steve, further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Pasquale's Pizza Run, March 15, 2025, at 9 a.m. with outdoor music from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Now we can ask questions. So the Pasquale's Pizza Run,
You're going to want to come up to the microphone for questions.
is it generating money for something in specific?
No, Pasquale is just want to promote themselves, and I will do this run event to fundraise money for Matt Urban Center.
For what center?
Matt Urban Human Services Center in Broadway.
Okay.
Yeah, and for myself.
How many people do you expect?
200.
They're donating 10% to the Matt Urban Center.
Okay.
What was our guideline that we had? I can't remember.
I think we just added, we wanted to know what percentage before we made our decision.
All right.
Right? Because some run organizers would say, oh, it's for breast cancer, and then they'd only donate like 1.5%.
0.5% or.
So that they could say it was for breast cancer, but it was really just simply the
For
organizer
them to make
making money under
Yeah,
the
yeah,
guise
yeah.
of, under the
So
auspices of a charity.
What's the root of this? I didn't know if I saw that.
It's, none of it crosses Maine, correct, Pat?
Correct.
It's-
She met with Lieutenant Waldron. He went through some safety provisions with her. It does not cross Main Street. It stays on the north side.
Loops back, it's
Main
like
Street.
Whaley and Hamlin and,
Fillmore.
I mean, yeah,
Gerard, Maple.
Gerard,
Yeah.
loops back around.
And she must have been starting and ending.
Yeah.
So Day Lieutenant Waldron was okay with everything?
They started out, I believe, wanting a different day, and they've narrowed it down to this morning, or the morning in question here, the 15th, which should be less traffic and safer for such an event.
Yes, outdoor music, no amplification. So how's the music going to be provided?
I think at the restaurant they have some speaker next to
Then that's amplified.
Yeah.
Then you need
Yeah.
to pay the extra money for the application.
Oh, okay.
What is the extra money for the, what do you,
You have to send out notices to the neighbors if you have amplification.
there's going to be amplified music? So how do we proceed?
Well, we would have,
we table it?
since there's different information, we'd have to collect that money and send out notices.
Or just say no music.
Or say no music.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And if you're announcing anything, you can't announce that over a speaker, if that's what is decided.
No, I think it's impossible because I have to announce the start.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can
Okay.
we approve this permit so they can get started on their organizing it, and then they could come back?
Can we just put
And
conditions,
modify it to add-
conditions
That would
on
have
it,
to be a
providing we get them
condition
by
that
the
they have
next
to do it.
meeting or
Right.
something along those lines?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so how's it gonna be worded? Counselor?
Somebody needs to tell me what they want to do, and I'll tell you how they word it.
We want to vote on this now, and the approval would be conditional on them coming back and applying for amplification.
Okay. So the person who made the motion would want to approve the temporary use permit for Pasquale's Pizza Run, March 15th, 2025 at 9 a.m. with outdoor music from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Permit will not be given until the applicant comes back and applies for amplification and pays the fee accordingly.
All right, does anyone want to make that motion? Because we haven't made anything yet.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Kristen, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Ernie.
Are we shutting down streets and giving cops and things like that? And do we check?
Chief?
So this event will require us to request the use of fire police. We will enlist the use of crossing guards, which is a cost to the applicant, and it will result in extra police officers.
Okay, so that's all goes back on to them to pay?
No?
Not the police
Not the
officers.
police officers.
The crossing guards, yes.
And that, how many guys for half a day?
Well, for the time that the race goes on, based on, I would say 2, but then we have to factor in if officers use leave time. So it just depends on how the day falls and who works their shift that day or who's off. And
Right.
we basically have to make a judgment call based on our staffing levels at the time. So
You don't bring in extra guys for that because guys are patrolling elsewhere? Or is that part of what, if they get called out, they get called out?
Well, no, I'll probably have a lieutenant and an officer or 2 on. Lieutenant Waldron oversees special events as I did in the past, and he staffs it accordingly. However, like I said, sometimes we're able to use part of the day shift to assist with it. It just really depends on how manpower falls that day. And March can be, you never know, we could have snow, so.
Right.
It all plays into, we take in the environment and the staffing and pull it all together that week and decide what to do.
We always absorb that? Or do we, for some events, do we,
No, we don't charge.
so everything like Music Fest and runs and things like that, we absorb whatever the extra cost to the town is, or village, I should say.
I think the only thing we ever talked about not doing that with was like the movies and stuff. Then when somebody was filming a movie and they were requiring the street to be shut
We
down or
definitely
whatever.
should
We
charge
definitely,
them.
I think we did put something in place for
Yeah,
that.
there was some, I thought
there
there
was
was
a
some law about public safety, you have to provide the public safety, right, no matter what. But something we were discussing
change
was
the price.
that you could change the permit fee. For like an event over 1,000 people, the permit fee could be enough to cover
The
what you expect to spend. in
The overtime?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which wouldn't ding all the little events, you know what I mean?
Well, and I realize that there's some donations being made, but primarily it's a private event for private profit, a business, and, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Katrina. So, and we're paying for it. That's kind of,
They're paying for the crossing guards, you said, right?
yeah.
They pay for the crossing guards, correct. And we always, it always gets sticky, but we encourage, if the fire police are enlisted, they are a volunteer organization out there on their own time, and we've always encouraged to meet with them and do right by them as well. But obviously, that's not anything we can mandate on our end. We can just suggest it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, 42 North does all that stuff. I mean, you can't ask one person to do it.
No,
Right.
I'm, we denied somebody a year ago on something just like this.
But they weren't from town.
They were,
out of-
they were not from.
They were out of
Right,
towners.
right. I get that.
Yeah.
And that was why I believe I shut them down. I don't know if I voted no to
think
that
you
or
did.
what.
Yeah, me too.
There was one a year or two ago under Shane's leadership that I believe did cross Main Street, and that's long been a sticking point for us, that it's very difficult to cross Main Street on a Saturday or Sunday morning.
That's,
Traffic.
yeah, the
And-
Caroler 5K used.
Yeah, that was the one, I got stuck in a traffic jam on Main Street trying to go shopping, and it was around Christmas time.
Yeah.
That is why.
was-
Yeah, I was one of the people running. I was your traffic. jam.
Oh, okay. My windows are steaming up
We don't.
inside my car.
That's why we don't generally ask the board to approve these. When we meet first and come up with a safety plan and make sure, and Main Street usually is a big sticking point for us. And this race stays north of Main Street, and I do believe, the original plan, she came to Lieutenant Waldron, he sent her back. She came back with a different plan, and eventually we worked out a deal similar to what the rink did recently. The rink also had their run. The first plan they came to us with, we didn't like. Sent them back to the drawing board. They came back to us. We did it a few times, and eventually came up with an agreement. We're very popular for our runs, and we try to accommodate the best we can. But it is taxing, and I would implore the board to look at permit fees going forward, because it does take some resources.
Sure.
Maybe we put that on future agenda, because with,
Yeah, in
our costs
Scale,
going up.
scale.
We have our budget meeting.
We have our budget meeting, let's discuss it then.
Yeah, in particular,
We'll have enough
for
to discuss.
5K races,
Not-
it takes a
not- we
lot
can't do it
of
during that.
manpower,
We'll do it at
police,
regular meeting.
sometimes
Sorry,
DPW.
Shane, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. In particular for these races, it takes a lot of manpower from the police, crossing guards, fire police, DPW in some cases, that, and no offense to the races, but they're not generally local races. The one that was denied was Mister's Bar running it, or hosting it, and now Pasquale's. It's not the middle schoolers having a race to raise money for Kiwanis or something.
That's my
It's,
point exactly. I'm not enamored with it, but I'm not gonna.
Well, let's discuss it at a future meeting.
Look at changing our process, right, and our fee structure. That's a good idea, Steve. All right, this is, any other discussion? Moved by Kristen and second by Ernie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to set a public hearing for Tuesday, February 18, 2025, for a special use permit application for 21 Fairlawn Court, applicant Alex Perez, for a single-room bed and breakfast in their dwelling where they live and operate.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Molly, second by Kristen, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is set. Can I get a motion to set a public hearing for Tuesday, February 18, 2025, for a special use permit application for 160 Main Street, Eugene O'Donovan applicant, 50 Pizza Yotality, for the existing restaurant program changes that include Yotality dessert service run and owned by 50 Brands, increased exterior seating to 68 seats, reduce inside seating to 76, hours of operation from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, and the removal of outdoor music.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Public hearing is approved. It's set for Tuesday, February 18. I get a motion to set a public hearing for Tuesday, February 18, 2025, for a special use permit application for 634 Main Street. Applicant Eric Galron, Taste Bistro owner, to modify the existing side alley alcove entry with a new door and side light that is flush with existing building facade.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Kristen, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion, it's set for February 18. Can I get a motion to declare surplus property for auction in the next 90 days, a 1995 Ford dump truck ending in 2527?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to grant permission to apply for a New York CARES Up grant for strengthening resiliency and wellness for uniformed personnel?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? Pat, you want to just give us a quick heads up on this excellent idea?
Yeah, so this grant is a $30,000 grant each year for 2 years for a total of $60,000. It comes from the state of New York, and what it says is strengthening resiliency and wellness for uniformed personnel. That covers dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, and recently, well, in the past couple of years, former Chief Krieger went on board with a company called Lexapol, and it kind of gave us a cookie cutter example of a wellness program, which a lot of law enforcement agencies across the country are starting to throw their support behind as officers face more and more challenges with traumatic events each day. So with that, we have established our wellness program, and in doing so, Officer Foster and Officer Schiffman have been named the co-coordinators of such, and we're getting it off the ground to be able to offer our officers more resources when they deal with traumatic events, and it also covers other things like physical fitness and even financial assistance, and basically, try to mitigate the stresses that officers and dispatchers and firefighters encounter in their everyday duties. So this would be $60,000 that we don't currently have to put towards such a thing. So we welcome it, and hopefully we can get somewhere with it.
Well, it's a great idea to provide any more resources we can to help them with their overall wellness. I think for everything they do for us, I think it's a great idea, and I hope we get it.
What's the money for?
That's the tricky part.
I'm just looking at it right now. Well, we can talk about it later.
I mean, I can try to answer it a little bit for you. That was my questioning when the lieutenant in charge of training came to me with it. That was my issue. So I reached out, and we had some folks from Erie County that have also applied for this and deal with this. And it looks like, to me, I didn't get a straight answer from the state when I tried to find out. Basically, the forming of the program, the money pays to send officers to training on critical incident stress debriefing. It'll give us funds to bring in professionals to teach and talk to our folks. And some of it in there is actually, training costs, travel, lodging, all that stuff to get the officers trained, because a lot of this training is in Albany. So,
Yeah, half of it's for coverage and staffing, it looks like.
well, they ask you in your individual application how you would spend the money, and then they give you kind of an example. So we did struggle with that a little bit, because they weren't very forthcoming at first on, sometimes they'll give us an idea of what it can be spent on, and we can go from there. But this one was kind of like, hey, 2 years, $30,000 a year, and you tell us what you think you want to do with it. So we're working that out with Central Police Services, who's also applying for the grant for their dispatchers.
It's good. It looks like it includes wellness needs assessment, member support surveys, inventory of where members go for potential crisis support.
The Q&A should have some information on that, if they have any slides from it.
Yeah, I did look at some of that, and again, it's a lot of
It's just reiterating the RFP.
bringing in people to provide counseling, provide assistance, provide training. One of our biggest goals is to get officers actually trained in critical incident stress debriefing versus the old school chit chat around the water cooler. Hey, how you doing? We'll actually have some people that are completely trained and can run a true debriefing versus, the ways of 30 years ago where it was hashed out over a beer at the corner bar.
Great.
And there's no matching commitment from the village.
Correct. Yeah, we did make sure of that. There's no matching funds.
Great. All right, any other discussion from the board? Moved by Kristen, second by Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved? Thanks for finding this, chief. Thanks for supporting it. Thanks for bringing it to us. All right, so moving on to new business, there's a 30-day liquor license for 510 Main Street. Charlie's Diner evidently is going to start serving liquor. Do we don't have to vote on it? We just, only if we have an issue with it?
If you have an issue with it, let me know and we will submit it. But if we don't have any issue, we won't submit anything.
Anyone have an issue?
I think the reason for it is just beer and wine. He had it years ago and somehow lost it during COVID, and now he's getting
Oh.
it back. So
Okay.
it's not gonna, he's not turning it into a bar or anything. It's
Okay.
just, I think just mainly beer and wine.
That helps.
Beer and pancake.
I always think of it as breakfast. That's why it was like, when I saw this, I was like,
Beer,
Mimosa.
beer and can.
I was like, who's drinking beer with eggs Benedict? But that's all right. I'm sure there's
It's not
something.
bad.
I was like, I'm sure there's someone.
They do have that Ellicottville maple syrup beer coming out around this time of year.
Oh,
so maybe
all right.
That one.
All right, so we're going to move on from that. Old business, we talked about trees and Pine Street Extension. Moving on to second speakers and communications. Anybody have anything?
I do. We voted on a new engineering firm, correct?
We did.
Did you get your contract yet?
The contract has been, the language has been agreed to between, Chris and our risk management persons. So it was just sent in a couple days ago.
Okay.
To Chris. I have a printed out copy, but I can, so.
No, the reason I brought it up is I've seen you here for multiple meetings, and I know your frustration in the fact that we didn't get that to you.
It's great, but I'm not gonna-
So I wanted to, if you hadn't gotten that, I wanted to prompt it, that's all.
Yeah, it was just like minor words over indemnity. I mean, Chris was really busy with, first it was the cannabis thing, and then it was, the stuff that he had to come up with.
Sure.
For the trees and stuff like that, so, I don't, people get busy.
I just didn't want you to be here indefinitely, that's all. I mean, I don't mind seeing you here.
I do. I've got a copy of it, but you don't have to trust me. I mean, the email was sent to.
I have it.
You and
Okay.
Chris. So,
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
So I believe it's ready to sign. I mean,
The board already approved the mayor to sign it. Yep.
So, I mean, no, I mainly came here because I know you guys said you had a bunch of stuff ready for us to go, and I want you guys to know I'm ready to take it back to my staff, and,
Thank you.
and get going on it.
Awesome.
All right, any other speakers? Moving on to department head report. Pat?
Well, we've had a couple days of winter weather, lots of cars in ditches and minor things, but nothing serious so far, so we're happy for that. DPW and Town Highway have done a great job keeping the roads passable so we can get to incident locations. January's turned into a big month for training, a lot of free training. I think every officer in the department's going to some sort of training this month, so we're thankful for that, and we're thankful for the price of it, which has been pretty close to zero. We did have over the weekend some car break-ins and actual car theft, and I just wanted to touch on that. These are crimes of opportunity. These are come in from other areas into our town in the dark of night with a flashlight when there's no headlights coming. Check for open doors, take whatever they can take from an open car. A lot of people are still parking their cars in their driveways with their key fobs in the cup holder, and that's just an invitation to take the car. And then they take it for a joyride, and 3 or 4 days later, we're getting calls from either the city or one of the north towns saying, hey, this car's on our side street, and it's reported stolen from your town. So we have put out some social media posts just really asking folks to not allow it to be an easy thing to do. These crimes of opportunity, just please lock your cars, take your keys inside, do that kind of thing, because they can't steal your car that way and they can't steal things from your cars. So we've put out a little bit of public notice on that. Outside of that, the new officer that you hired last meeting started his education, his 3-week firearms yesterday. He's doing well, and thanks for the approval on the grant for the wellness program. That's all I have.
It seems like a lot of risk and effort to just go for a joyride. They don't scrap the car like in the movies and they just leave it and get out.
The movies.
Well, they're using them for a multitude of things. I mean, they're drug runs, they're committing crimes, and sometimes they'll take them and then they'll switch the plates. So if we're keying on a plate, say your car gets stolen and we enter your plate, if they throw a different plate on, it's not going to hit at any of the cameras at the toll booth and things like that. And it's a free car to somebody that wouldn't have one otherwise. And when they steal a better one or a different, they run it out for a while until they think, all right, we're going to get caught. So then they ditch that one and take another one. And it's inside the minds of a criminal. But if we can lock our cars and not leave our key fobs in our cars, we're well ahead of where we've been. So.
That seems like a no-brainer to me, common sense. All right, thanks, Chief. Jeff?
Yeah, the DOT got a hold of me last week. They're going to be doing crosswalk project along Main Street this summer. It's going out to bid very soon. It's going to consist of crosswalks, sidewalks. Pretty much the grades, since they redid Main Street, have dropped, so they got to go ADA compliant with them. I did mention with all the festivities on Main Street along the summer, they're more than willing to work around those dates. I also requested for them to see if they can put an LED crosswalk sign at Pasquale's. So he was going to do some research on that, see if they can get that in.
What do you mean an LED crosswalk sign?
So somebody will push a button if they're going to cross and it lights up. Because it's a very dark crosswalk.
Yeah, we've talked about those in the past, too.
We asked the county to look at one at, down by Porterville and Pine, and it was $50,000, and it would have cost us that.
We're looking to see if they'll do it for free at
Yeah.
Pasquale's.
Yep.
So,
That was because the electrical had to go to it, right?
Well, the
yeah.
unit itself and the installation, I believe, was $50,000.
Yeah, but those new ones that I showed you, those things, they were only,
Yeah, but I think the ones they would look at are a little more beefier than those.
so that's something we should probably talk about if that's what we want, because some people have come forward and asked for that in the past. We've talked about how maybe we don't want a big flashing light on Main Street versus something
Well, it's
that
only-
blends in with the character more, so.
Well, it only lights up when somebody presses a button. So it's only on for that period of time.
it's not in mid-Maine.
Yeah. Can we see a picture of the one they're considering?
Yeah, I mean, they're not considering any, I just brought it up to them. Because they're going to be putting in all the new push buttons that they did a couple of them on Upper Main last year.
Yep.
So I just told them to look into it.
Okay.
I think it'd be hard to have safety lighting be aesthetically pleasing. It's kind of.
Right.
The point is.
Too obvious.
The point is to grab people's attention, so I don't know that there is a less subtle
Yeah.
version.
I'd like to see what the sign looks like before they go putting it up on Main.
And there's probably no Roycroft Craftsman style artists
Green and
and
brown.
handmade wooden oak
I think,
quarter
Stained
sawn
glass.
oak.
I
Yeah.
think basically they're normal crosswalk signs, but they have LED lighting circling them.
Right.
So when you hit it on
Okay.
both sides.
I've
think I've
seen,
seen
I remember we
Yeah,
researched
those
it
aren't
in the
bad.
past, and I've seen multiple models, and some are very big and gaudy.
They have one. They have a
Like the
couple in
houses.
Orchard Park.
It's what?
They have one right in Orchard Park, right on their main drag, just before their train crossing there, where they put the lights up.
Yeah.
They have one there.
I'll go take a peek. Can you just make sure that we get a look at it before?
Yeah, for
they
sure.
just- I don't
Yep.
want to just show up one day and see this
Yeah, no, definitely
20-foot
not.
tall monster,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, though. It's a good idea, Steph.
Someone's gonna get.
Maybe people would actually use a crosswalk.
I've had many close calls there,
Yeah.
just because it's so dark.
I just
And if
wish
we can
we
get the
could,
state to pay for it, that's even better.
I
Right.
just wish we could
I
get
don't
down
think we've heard
closer to
anything yet, but yeah,
the,
let's check
Main
it
and
out.
Hamlin area. area, because it's just,
They're also doing this work now because they plan on paving Main Street next year, I heard.
Oh,
Nice. Have we, talking about traffic, have we heard anything more regarding Olean on Domain, the no right-hand turn on red? Was there any more discussion of that?
We have not heard back from the state on that. The county was a lot faster with theirs. The state, I believe, takes a little bit more of a deeper dive, probably due to the magnitude of the incident that occurred there. I'm sure they're diving in a little bit more. I have looked at, I've talked to a lot of folks that are interested in the situation. Pushing back that crosswalk's an option. Moving the panel box for the control box for the traffic signal, that does kind of create some kind of blind spot there. It being right on red or allowing right on red there. I addressed all those issues in my original email, and the traffic engineer claimed that he had documented our concerns, and they were going to take all that into consideration when they did the study.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm
I was
done.
going to say, moving back the cross, that means just move farther away from the intersection?
Well, yeah, where it currently sits, I'm not an expert in traffic engineering, but as you turn right there, that crosswalk's bam, right there, which a lot of crosswalks are right on the corner, so you can see the whole crosswalk before you turn. Well, this one, you turn and then you see it. So maybe they will determine that they want to move the location of it. I'm not sure, but that's, something that we asked them to look into.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else, Jeff?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you. Rich?
I don't have anything to offer tonight, thank you, though.
Shane?
No, nothing further for me either.
Maureen?
We're still working on with Tyler. We're going live with payroll next. Hopefully, there's no issues. And I've met with all the department heads to review their budgets prior to the budget meeting with the board. I think we are in agreement on what they're asking for. And Shane and I also met with the insurance about an EAP program policy, but we'll have that for you next time because that was just this morning that we were able to meet with them, so.
All right. Thanks, Maureen. Molly?
I'm fine, thank you.
Ernie?
I'm fine.
Kristen?
Maureen, could you just remind us, when can we see the budget?
You'll get the department's budgets for
Yeah.
the budget meeting February 1st, and then you'll get the full budget March 19th.
No, you said, we usually get it a couple days before we have the budget meeting.
So
don't
we
we?
have time to look it over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just-
Oh, yeah. I will get it as soon as, we just had the meeting.
I know you're super
Yeah.
busy, that's why I wanted to check in and make sure that.
We're just getting, so when I meet with them, they have what they're looking for, and we kind of go through it line by line, so we have to make changes on a bunch of it.
Oh, I appreciate
and then I
everything you
send
do,
it out.
trust me. I
So,
know what
yeah,
you're doing.
Don't be hard on them. I really cut, each of them cut and moved a lot before it even gets to you, so just know that.
We're going to slash and burn.
That's right.
All right, anything else, Kristen?
That's all I've got.
All right, Steve?
I'm all set.
All right, I just want to thank the DPW for all their hard work with all the snow and ice we've been getting. You guys are really doing a bang-up job, especially a little limited in some of our vehicles with the breakdowns and
Got
stuff.
them all back.
You do?
We got them all back.
Hey!
Knock on wood that they're,
That's
So
great to hear.
when, I won't ask it. I was just curious, how much can your guys handle mechanic-wise versus shipping it out?
So these new trucks, a lot of the issues are the DEF, stuff like that. Our computer programs can't diagnose
Gotcha.
new trucks.
All
So
right.
you pretty much have to take it to the dealer.
Ugh. Okay, thank you.
Oh, good. So did you return the one to Elma?
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So we don't need to buy them tires?
We're not buying them tires.
All right. All right, we do appreciate them, though.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I thank them many a time.
All right, well, thanks to you and your crew. And I met with, let's see, Shane and a couple members and Kristen and a couple members of the Planning Commission We're putting together a focus group to contribute kind of a village view of our goals, and we're giving them to the town while they put together their comprehensive plan, so they kind of know where we're coming from, because we think it's important the village and the town are aligned as we are one big community. So we're working on it. We met once, we're going to meet, I think, one more time, then we're going to meet with Labella, their contractor, their engineer.
Their consultant on
Their
it, yeah.
consultant, thank you. Their consultant that's putting together the comprehensive plan to kind of hash out some of the concepts and ideas, so. That's all I have. It is 8:32. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Moved
Second.
by Molly, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Well, that was quicker than I thought.
That was a whole hour
I was
faster than I thought.
throwing it'd be 9 o'clock.